Today we're jumping into Marfa, Texas and hanging out with one of the most talented professional artists I've ever met. We'll learn about him, how he got started. We'll talk about sort of the art history in West Texas. We'll talk about AI, data center development in Texas, and how to draw inspiration from your surroundings. Let's dive in and meet Ray Hadaway.
You are now listening to the Stark Lane podcast.
And while I'm certainly not qualified to rate or judge art, I can tell you that I love yours. And what I have hanging over there, which I'll flash to and show everybody, is the one item in my house that my wife has said that I have to save if we start burning down.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to do some art for you guys, and that was a big pleasure to do that for you guys. And you did a whole YouTube video on us meeting and our conversation, and then how the art developed, and based on the story you told me. So that was if your audience hasn't seen that, it's a great YouTube video that you did.
Awesome. I'll link to that in the notes on this episode. And one thing about your art that I love is I can't say whether it's good or bad. I can say that I really like it, and I see it everywhere now. And when I look at a piece of your art, I know distinctively and uniquely that Ray Hadaway did that. And I think that's really cool. So how did that whole thing come about? Have you been a lifelong artist? You know, is this just a new passion at this new chapter in your life?
Well, I think I've always been an artist. I didn't really connect with it and put two and two together that I was able to be a working artist. I think it's really hard for artists who do painting, well, really kind of any kind of art, is really to find a way to make a living at doing it. So I've always done art, just because it's a passion of mine. But it just kind of came together just by happen chance. While working on a project, a house that we were going to be purchasing, my wife was asking me about, we were looking at this house we liked, and there was some really, it wasn't original art, but you could see in this like house how the art would fit in, and how the pieces would fit. And I told her, like, look, I can do all this art. I can do art. Let me just measure the sizes, and I'll do art pieces for our house. And she was kind of like, well, whatever. I don't, you say you're going to do stuff, and sometimes you do it and sometimes you don't. And I literally did pretty much a whole show for the house. I would just spend a bunch of time out working in a makeshift art studio, and painted a bunch of art. And as the collection came together, just a happenstance thing, there was a wine bar opening around the corner, and my wife's mother decided to volunteer my art for the wine bar, to have a room where you could sit and drink some wine and view art. And they wanted me there as the opening artist, and that's how I started painting for other people. But before that, it was just for myself. And art, even through my childhood, was just doodling and doing sketches of classmates and teachers and all of those kind of things. I think just being inspired by, at the time, like comic books. I loved comic books, all the Superman comic books and Spider-Man. I mean, everything. I love that. I love that kind of stuff. G.I. Joe, and I love recreating it and drawing it. I think a lot of people would just drop that, as if they're not going into an art career field, that might just be something that they write off to being as, oh, well, when I was a kid, I did these kind of things. But it always stuck with me, with the creativity of how, in my imagination, I could always create something from my childhood. I guess living out in the country, I was always creating things with rocks and stacking stones and making my own racetracks, as I would think a lot of children would if they were out living in the country with no TV and internet and stuff like that. Um,
Nice.
so that's kind of where it started. That's how I got into it.
That was going to be my question is, who were your mentors, your role models, who inspired you along the way? Because I didn't know about the passion for comic books, but I mean, you've been overseas, you've seen the Mona Lisa, right? So,
Right. My parents were artists. My dad was a musician, and my mom, she painted. We live in the Texas Hill Country around Luckenbach and Blanco and Fredericksburg and that area, Dripping Springs, west of Austin, Texas. And she was always painting the hill country scenes. And my dad was a musician. He played multiple instruments. He played steel guitar. He did music, and so I grew up around art and artists. And after a long day of work, my dad working in the oil field or whatever it was he was doing at the time, he would be at home with his buddies, and they'd be, playing music. So it was nothing for me to think like, well, you have a job, and then at the end of the day, you go do what you enjoy. You go do your art, or you go do whatever, your creativity. Same thing. My mom was a waitress. She waited at all of the restaurants all around Blanco, Johnson City, all those areas, Fredericksburg. And in her spare time, she painted. And I would go down with her on the square in Blanco. At the courthouse, they would have, artists could come down there and show their work and try to sell some pieces. And wasn't common for me be down there hanging out with her on the square.
did your mom paint late into life?
She did. She always painted. I never touched her paints. I mean, that oil paints are pretty expensive, and just letting your kid play with them isn't something that you would do. But she showed me her paintings, and she took extensive notes on what she would paint and how she would make a bluebonnet flower, or some tree she was painting or something. She keeps notes, and she's not with us anymore, but I still have all of her notes on things that she's painted.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
So how much of the geography out west has been an inspiration to you? Because you're not where you were when we originally met. You're further west. Like aren't you sitting in Fredericksburg or Marfa now?
Yeah, I am. I'm currently I've rented a studio right now. I'm out in Marfa, Texas.
That is so
And
cool.
I just came out here to just be inspired by this little community. So many artists come out here, from actors to writers to sculptors. There's so many people that come out here just to feel the energy of this desert and this little community. And I've been coming out here for well over a decade, and I thought, how fun would it be to come out here, rent a studio for about a year, and just be out here and just paint and explore the state parks and the national park out here. So while I'm painting, so that's what I'm doing out here right now.
God,
But
the Davis Mountain State Park is so awesome.
oh,
That
it's incredible.
and you go down to Big Bend too. I mean, you're right there. It's like 2 hours, right?
Oh yeah, it's a 2 hour drive. Yeah, I was just down there the day before yesterday. I've spent hours driving through it, riding motorcycles through it, camping out in it. It's amazing. So love it
Have
out
you
here.
have you seen the Marfa lights?
I try. I try. I see something. There's definitely something there. I would encourage everyone to go try to see it. Um, I'm not sure if they're vehicles like in the distance or they're aliens, but everybody will have to decide for themselves. Decide for themselves
The
what it is.
Marf the Marfa lights. I'll put a link in the description here so people can see what we're talking about. But that is absolutely a bucket list item for me. I want to see them. I want to lay eyes on it. Because I mean, in 2026, if it hasn't been debunked and you can't describe it, and you don't know what causes it, I think it's fascinating. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely something to come check out. Even though I don't drive out to LA, it's a lot of people drive out here from Los Angeles, from Las Vegas, different places that are, because it's Texas is so big, uh, like wide, that it's like almost as far from Houston to get out here as it probably is from from LA.
Yeah, and no kidding. Where I'm sitting, I'm a mile south of I-10, about halfway between San Antonio and Houston. And it's the same distance for me to go to Atlanta as it is to go to El Paso.
Hmm.
Texas is huge. It's
It is.
absolutely huge.
Yeah, you'll have to fact check that. I don't know if any of those times are correct, but it
It
seems like
sounds awesome. It
I'm
stays in the
close.
episode.
A little bit about back to Marfa. There's some military connection there, and I was in the Air Force, and I guess this is dating myself, but I was in Desert Storm. It's interesting to me that there are a lot of artists that have been in the service for 4 years, or 4 or 5 years at the beginning of their life, and then they move on to other careers.
Yeah.
And I was very independent as a young man, so I really wanted to just get out of the house, and so and go and find my way. Naturally, the military was an easy way to go do that. So, and that is, like you mentioned, one way that we connected, because when I started talking to you and you started telling me about your background, that you served in the Army, and you have also been in combat uh, tour as well. And so
Absolutely.
we definitely connected on that. Being at Fort Hood, I think we were both at Fort Hood. Even though I was in the Air Force, I was assigned to the Army. So I spent 4 years in the Army, and that was my first time to travel overseas. And even during that time, I didn't really know that necessarily that I was going to be an artist, but I did some kind of interesting things that I look back on. And sitting out in the desert, I made a huge like a out of a piece of thrown away wood or something. I made a like a tabletop kind of a play set that I just had like make believe aircraft on. I made necklaces. I sent everybody back in my family rock necklaces from the desert. I picked up rocks that had holes in them. There were so many rocks all over the desert, and I took parachute cord, and I made everybody a necklace, and I sent them to my mom and girlfriend and different people. So my girlfriend, which is now my wife, she still has the rock necklace that I made for her and sent her um, from the desert there. So
Yeah, there's such a rich sort of military and art history where you are. We were talking about
yes,
Hans Press there, who was a
yes,
German POW in World War II. And
yes, for sure. Yeah, we were talking about Marfa and Donald Judd. And Donald
Mhm.
Judd, if you come out here to Marfa, there's the Gennady Foundation and the Judd Foundation. And Judd was in the military, in the Army, I believe, and it was called FDA Russell is the place that he purchased for his art studio
Mhm.
to work in and do art displays. And that was a working World War II base back in during World War II, and they trained pilots there for a while, and then they had some some prisoners of war from the Afrikan. I believe the Nazis from the Afrikan tank division were prisoners of war here, and a couple of those guys were artists. And in uh, I think Building 98, which is the officers club, they did art murals. And so you can come out here and see Donald Judd's work, but then you can also, while you're at his studio there, you can actually see some of the work that they did while they were there. And I read a little bit about them. I'm not going to sit here and try to give you history on it, but it's interesting that they were here, and that they later went on to be. I think Hans Press ended up being an artist and writing books and doing stuff for children and stuff. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, he had a
Another
big
another connection.
career as a children's book author and illustrator. I mean,
Right.
he's super famous. Just it's crazy.
Hmm.
And yeah, so the history in West Texas is absolutely awesome. So what's next for you? Are you continuing with the painting media? Do you have anything else on the horizon? Are you going a little more commercial?
I'm on my third show with Commerce Gallery in Lockhart, Texas,
Mhm.
and I've done two shows at Vaudeville in Fredericksburg, Texas, and then I show year round in at Richard Schmidt Gallery in Round Top, Texas. So I'm just pressing along with that, just expressing myself through art and painting and connecting with people.
I can't speak so much for West Texas, but I am in Fayette County, south of Round Top, and anyone that comes out here for the antique show, and if you visit any of the establishments out there, bet you a nickel you'll see a piece of Ray's art on the wall. It's awesome.
Bill, thank you. Yeah, I've lived there for quite a few years, and I just love the community there, and I love connecting with. Well, love connecting with people everywhere, but I spent enough time there to really get to know a lot of people in the community and a lot of collectors from the area.
While I've got the attention of the most awesome professional artist I know, I can't not ask about AI, right? And how you feel about AI and how that might be impacting your industry because it's definitely a buzz in, film and music and, for those who do a lot of graphic illustrations professionally.
Good question. I feel like the one thing about AI just cannot replace the human element that comes into actual painting. I suppose you could use AI in some way to guide an artist, and maybe that's what the future holds for some artists. Maybe it's a shortcut for some people, like it is probably for music. Um, but I don't think it could completely replace the soul that goes into an art piece, because that soul that goes into creating art is purely human, and AI just can't replace that.
Yeah, I've got mixed feelings about AI because I now use it every day. And when I am leveraging AI, I'm one person, I can do the work of 15 people at the same time. It's pretty cool. But at the same time, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of data centers all over Texas to support that. So it's sort of a push and pull, you know?
Right? Yeah, it is. I would say that you would kind of have to look at the internet as the same in the same way. Um, that that we didn't have internet around 20 years ago, and now if you want to see what Van Gogh or Matisse did, or uh, Warhol did, or Basquiat, or you name it, if you want to see something, you want to know their history. You don't have to. It's better to go see it in person, but
Yeah.
you can pull up information about it immediately through the internet. And so that's sort of like AI to me in thinking about, we don't know where it's going in the future, but it does bring a lot of convenience to you. Putting it right at your fingertips, it speeds up things. I feel like through Instagram and some other social media platforms that I've been able to connect with people quicker than what traditional some of the greats were able to do. Literally, some of them were dead before they even knew what kind of artwork they did, and it was
Yeah.
generations later before anybody saw it. So, though I don't particularly care to have AI data centers sucking up all of our fresh water, I think that's definitely a negative, and taking up valuable farmland and things like that. I hope it doesn't overly impact us as citizens.
Yeah.
We want to have our internet and our AI, but we also don't want it prolific throughout our communities and damaging our water supplies uh, and impacting our infrastructure. So that's the only trade-off that it's a we're in an interesting time, and I hope that the people in charge of those things do it in a responsible way.
I think I share your
I
sentiments
know it was
there.
a long answer.
Yeah.
That's a long answer, but it's like I know we're used to it now, so it's hard to take away, just like the internet. But it's also something we have to be very careful about how we use it. and responsible. We have to be responsible for sure.
Yeah, it's wild. Some stats I pulled prior to our episode when I was thinking about possibly bringing up AI during our conversation. There are 87 data centers operating in the state of Texas right now. They have another 159 currently planned projects, and that's according to clearview.co. And I have a map of those, and I'll flash to that right here, where you can see the brown dots are those are the operating data centers. The green dots are those that are planned. There are quite a few around Fort Davis, West Texas, even further west where water is already in short supply. For everyone in the state of Texas, the environmental impact is a consideration. It's not an environmentalist thing. It's a, hey, I live here and I like water.
Yeah.
So it is what it
So they
is.
need to do it with seawater because we got plenty of seawater.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, they need to figure out an alternative. Or I've even heard about closed systems that are closed and they don't continue to deplete the aquifers because growing up around the Blanco Hill Country area, the Edwards Aquifer runs through there, and I know that I can't think of what it's called, but there's a Jacob's Well is a known area that I used to swim when I was a kid out there, and I don't think it flows like it used to. Not to bring this interview down, but I mean that's the
Yeah.
impact it's making on our lives currently, and AI data centers tapping into the water supply that could be. Certainly, we need creatives, maybe people that are creative, like artists, and anybody that's creative in tech or whatever to figure out a way, engineering, to figure out a way to do a better cooling system.
Absolutely.
Funny that you brought that up, that I just mentioned that, because I was out here eating at a place for dinner, and there was a tech guy that had flown out here in his experimental aircraft from Austin, and I asked him what he was working on, and there is a mineral that he was said that they're working on a rocket that goes to the moon. And I said, is it to pick up some kind of mineral off the moon that I think it's something in the atmosphere there, or something that is super coolant. I don't know enough about it, but I know that they are looking for alternative cooling systems, and I think that needs to be explored.
One of the things that I love about you is, throughout your life, at later chapters in life, when you finish one huge career and you go on to the next, you never let that passion go. You were talking about those people that, kind of reflect on, art being something they did as a kid or something they loved. What would you say to those people?
Just don't lose your passion. I literally promised myself when I was a kid that I wouldn't forget what it was like to be a kid, and just bring that back. Bring that back, that passion with you. Playing with your friends, creating those games, just all those things. You gotta bring that into your life with your family, with your work. It just makes everything more fun. It makes your life more fun. Don't forget to be a kid.
I love
Even
that so much. I'm just now getting to the point where I'm remembering some of that, and I have the opportunity to remember that, and it's a real blessing. Before I let you out of here, because I know you've got things to do, so do I, but one more time, where can people come and see your art today?
Well, there's two main places this year that you can connect with me and on the art scene, and that's a great, wonderful town that's known for its barbecue. That's Lockhart, Texas, and you can
Awesome.
find it at Commerce Gallery and Get Lucky Gallery there on the square. Also, if you're through a wonderful little town out between Austin and Houston called Round Top, TOP, I'm in Richard Schmidt's gallery there, and Richard Schmidt is a fine artistic silversmith. He does amazing work. He was one of the first people to really give me a chance to show art in his shop, and I still have art there today. So I would definitely go and check out Richard Schmidt's and Round Top.
Yeah, he also has a place in LaGrange, and that's
He
where
does.
I've picked up some of his handmade jewelry pieces, and it's just
Yes,
awesome.
yes, such
Well,
a such such a great guy, a great family. Um, and super cool work.
And on the note of work, you've got work to do. So do I. So this podcast is expanding significantly. So people, people need perspectives. They need more Ray Hadaway in their life because what you're doing is so inspirational, and your work is. I don't care if somebody says it's good or it's bad. I can look at something and say Ray did that, and that's
Yeah,
cool as hell.
yeah,
I
that's
love that.
yeah. I mean, I'm the same way. I've been looking at art for a long time, and then I just decided just to do, just to paint what I feel like painting, and I don't. I mean, I want other people to like it, of course, but I can't be there in my head when that can't be what the first thing on my mind when I'm painting, because
Yeah.
then that's too distracting. You have to just go with your instinct and emotion. And that reminded me, because I had thought about this a little bit. I know we're not being recorded right now, but
Well,
um,
technically we are being recorded, so I can actually use this. So it's
oh,
cool.
you can. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But I was thinking about it whenever I did your art piece, that when somebody, especially when I'm painting a piece like where I'm connecting with somebody,
Yeah.
and they give me, like you did, like a story, and I have such a vivid imagination that I just reimagine that in my head, and then um, that's how I'm able to put that on paper, so to speak, because I'm sort of like doing my own recording and keying on certain things that you're saying or I see visually, and and use that in when I'm doing the a piece. I'm just flowing, and I'm just going, and then I'm just remembering those words or those images or whatever it is that I've seen, and I'm able to like essentially put it all together as one synopsis on paper or on canvas. And so yeah, a lot of work that I've done that's included portraits of people, or even a lot of things that I've seen, like like the hill country, the flowers, the cows, whatever. I just reimagine those things. And I have noticed that, like you're saying, like there is a certain way that I put it together that people say that they do recognize, and uh, I I think it's just the brush strokes, the raw like passion that goes into it,
Yeah. Yeah.
that 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 comes out in it. It's not super planned. I don't have any training. It just comes from instinct of just painting. So uh,
Dude,
I just wanted
I don't know how you do what you do, but I'm a pretty hard dude. And if you know my wife, she's harder than I am.
to,
But when
yep.
I unveiled that, we both shared tears.
Well,
You
thank you.
you you hit some of those things just it was just amazing. It was just amazing.
Thank you.
But
Yeah, I definitely connected with you guys. I connected with your story, and it just flowed. And sometimes I'll just step back from a painting and go, this is what I felt when I saw these things, or I met these people, or a trip I just took, or whatever it is that's on my mind. I can somehow interpret it on paper, on canvas, and and I don't know how I do it either. Sometimes I look back, I go, how did I do that? And sometimes I get in here and I go, I don't know what I'm going to paint, and I don't know how I'm going to paint it, and I think I forgot how to paint. I just got to forget all that and get out of that brain and go to a different. They say left, right brain, and maybe it's
yeah.
another part of my brain, and just use that and go, look, I can't overthink this. I just have to do it, and I have to go now. And
So,
maybe that's some of that military stuff. I don't know.
I was going to ask you. So that was one of my questions for you. Stephen Pressfield. Have you ever read any of his stuff or The War of
Uh-uh.
Art? So he's one of
Uh-uh.
my, The War of Art is one of my favorite books of all time. It's amazing. And he's a writer. And a reporter one time asked him, he said, so do you write when inspiration strikes, or are you more regimented? He said, I only write when inspiration strikes, but that is every morning at 9 a.m. sharp at my coffee table. So so there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty regimented about that, but he goes through that. He says, sometimes you start the work. You got to start the work. You got to start the movement, and it comes to him. I don't know. I'm not nearly as creative as you are, or Stephen
No.
Pressfield. If we can help someone tap into their creative energy, I think that's what this episode's all about. I think it's awesome.
Right. Yeah, I think there definitely are some mystical things, and some of it they're debunking is not so mystical that they're actually a thing. But like somebody said something about uh, like being in a swimming pool or being in a bathtub or being in a shower, that it's a time where you're reflecting and you're thinking, and I can connect with those kind of things. Like that makes
Mhm.
sense to me. Like that's a lot of times I'll have like these brilliant ideas, like uh, while I'm like floating in the pool or something. I'll be like, oh yeah, I need to do that, or this is what I got to do. But it's just maybe it's just a moment when you're calm and you're not doing anything else, and your brain's where you're allowing your subconscious just to have its own thoughts, and that's where I like to pull from, because I can tell myself that I'm going to mess this up all day long, and that's just like that's not the right brain that I want to be in. Well, anyway, hey, thank you for having me. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for this doing this interview. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Ray, thank you. The pleasure's all mine, and I think a lot of people are going to take a lot of good stuff from this. See you, brother.
This has been the Stark Lane podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you find the programs to elevate your career and your passions. Now, get back to work.